No Millennial Pause is here today. This is the Chasing Plays podcast. We are back again for another episode. We got a lot to get to, so we're going to run into this real quick. We got baseball. We got our Liberty winning. We got our Yankees winning. Hopefully they continue that streak tonight. Currently on, we have the Tigers. We have the Indians. So much to get to, so let's just hop right into this, gentlemen. First off, how are you guys doing?
Doing well, man. Happy Monday.
I'm glad you
Let's
asked.
go. Playoff baseball.
Yeah, you skipped it one week, and I'm still a little bit bitter about it, but I'm glad you asked this time.
You'll be okay. You'll get
He
over
feels
it.
Slighted. He feels like
he
you
does.
guys used to be so close, and now
he just wanted it so bad. Well, he wants what he wants, and when he can't get what he wants, he's just heard about it.
I don't know.
He sits with him for a while.
He texts me at night like,
I'm pretty sure he did.
What Hayes didn't do the other day is still like bothering me.
Still lingers. I like to be asked how I'm doing. It's just human nature.
This team up stuff that you two are doing, I'm gonna put a kibosh to it very, very soon. I'm just letting you guys know that, so I'm gonna let you rock for right now. But so that's gonna be a dub for me. There's going to be a dub for me, but speaking of dubs, gentlemen, let's get into our dubs. Right off rip, I have the Jags, the team that I picked to win last week, because I had a funny feeling that they would actually win a game, and they did. That's it. I have nothing else for that.
Yes.
That's it.
Congratulations.
That's it. They don't really get too much from me. Just kudos. You get to keep your job a little bit longer, Doug. Yeah.
Congrats to the Jags.
I guess so.
They're playing London next week, and I kind of want to pick them just because they are familiar with London and the whole situation.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though they're technically the visiting team, but yeah, our boy, boy of the podcast here, Trevor Lawrence, on his 25th birthday, 2 touchdowns, 370 right in the air. No, it was they won.
They almost blew that one, but they got it done.
They did almost blow it. Speaking of a team that almost blew it, is Sam's pick, the Ravens, because Lamar had a nice little fumble. Luckily, the Bengals are just worse. So, Sam, why do you have the Ravens?
I know you're segueing really nice, but here's a public service announcement weekly that Brian Thomas is just a beast. Okay, going on to the Ravens here. Sorry, different notes I had. Yeah. Every dude, like barn burner, Burrow had 5 touchdowns, but yeah, the Bengals lost a game here. Big mishap in OT for Lamar here, but he just continues to show that I will win. I will will this team to win. They're not perfect. Their defense is suspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's going to be a problem, especially in that division and in that conference. Eventually here, but he did it. Lamar 348 in the air, 4 touchdowns, 55 on the ground. Every time the Bengals scored in the second half, the Ravens scored. So it was just a nice effort there. Derrick Henry is a monster, and even though Justin Tucker has looked like a human recently, came through with a big 50+ yard kick to tie it and a game winner there. So kind of familiar Ravens football, but certainly not the defense we're looking for. Big win for them though.
For Lamar Jackson, for the past 2 weeks, he beat. Why did I just blank on that? Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just blanked on that so bad. Josh Allen, and then what's his name? But he's 7 touchdowns in the 2 weeks, no interceptions. Lamar is absolutely balling. So want to give him that outside of that fumble. Harrison, you have another team that's balling that none of us had actually doing this. It's the Commanders.
No, I think we should do a segment later in the year where we get a mulligan on our picks and our choices.
Absolutely. I know what you're trying to do. We could just look back at our preseason polls and just say, I think this team we might overlook them. And that's clearly the Commanders right now, 4-1, definitely rolling. This could have been an easy trap game for them. The Browns are obviously very bad. Deshaun Watson is not good at all. I'd probably like a mulligan on that one. So that's why I'm doing it. But kudos to them for just really getting it done. I mean, it was close early, but they really ran away with it. And
and took complete control of the game. And then looking forward, they got the Ravens next week, and I can't remember the last time the Commanders or Redskins and the Ravens have been good at the same time. So we get some really cool DMV rivalry going on. So
good point.
Yeah. No, really, really excited for that game, and glad to see the Commanders are still rolling. I'm enjoying watching them like a lot. Like they've been kind of my must see team that I've just turned on each week that I really want to watch. So kudos to the Commanders.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels is absolutely balling, and it's
he's great.
He just looks like it's that veteran poise, and it's crazy to see 2 years in a row 2 rookie quarterbacks kind of do the same thing and just be able to move the ball at will. Just his deep ball is so pretty. It's so pretty, and he moves
on the run, man.
He is a pocket quarterback, and he stays in the pocket until he has to move. Which I will honestly say he reminds me of a rival of the Commanders, a quarterback that used to play for the Eagles but ended up playing for the Redskins, Donovan McNabb, because he has the arm, he's able to be precise, and he'll only run when he really needs to run. And at that point in time, it's too late for you. You can't stop it. And he's very smart about his run, too. He's not trying to get Lamar Jackson type yards. He'll get what he needs to get, and then he gets out. So shout out to him.
Skinny McNabb.
Number 2
overall.
Not
just him either. Like Brian Robinson is awesome to watch out of the backfield. Austin Eckler, Scary Terry. Like they're just a really fun team.
They are.
And I wish I would have looked more into them in the offseason.
That's fair.
Yeah, we all blanked on that.
I didn't blank on this team, but they did win yesterday, and it's the Giants.
They're good.
2 weeks in a row. I won't go that far and say they're good.
They might be good.
They might be, but I highly doubt that because Daniel Jones is still their quarterback. And this is what Daniel Jones does, which is how he walked himself into a contract, is he gets little flashes, his team gets to the playoffs, and then he does Daniel Jones type things. I mean, they do. I believe I said on this podcast, I'll say it again, is their defensive line was the scariest part of that team. Their defensive line can get to you at any point in time, and that is 100% one of the biggest parts of the battle every week is the trenches. Is if you win the trenches, you win the game. And they were able to absolutely disrupt Geno. Geno was scrambling. I saw him get Goldberg speared at one more time. And I was just like, all right, well, Geno, it's going to be a long day for you. Thank you, Seahawks, also for destroying my parlay amongst some other teams. But Daniel Jones didn't look bad 2 weeks in a row. Excuse me. He looked bad last week because he was missing stuff. He looked better this week. So yeah, that's all I got for them too.
They might be good. I mean, we look at their 3 losses. Like this is the early part of the year where you can kind of look back at some of the teams they played, and they got completely blitzed by the Vikings. And look at the Vikings. They lost by a field goal to the Commanders with no field goal kicker. And look at the Commanders. And then they lost to the Cowboys, which I think is probably their worst loss looking back at it now. So, yeah, I had them in my powerless rankings for a couple weeks, but they might be just not very good, but at least decent. Yeah.
That's fair.
And with no Singletary, right? He didn't play, right? Yeah,
he did not play.
Rookie running back, and Malik Neighbors has been a monster in the first 4 weeks here, and he wasn't on the field. So, there's some life there for sure.
Definitely.
Okay. This team already has life, and they've had life throughout this. It's the Vikings. Sam, that's your pick.
Yeah, it was just the quintessential Jets experience to watch your former first round quote unquote franchise quarterback who never really panned out in New York just play great football, make great plays. We've talked ad nauseum about the offense and the defense here. I mean, they huge pick 6 touchdown just made Rodgers look, if he didn't already, look like he's 40 years old. Almost killed him at that one play. I thought, I was like, what the hell's going on?
When he was crawling on the ground?
Yeah, it was a rough outing out there and across the pond, if you will. But this team's clicking. That defense is controlled chaos. Is that what they call it? Like it's fun to watch. And I mean, Sam Darnold is cashing all those checks years and years later about his potential. He looked really good. This was the first time I really got to watch a lot of it. Watched a lot of that Giants game in week 1, I think. But just to watch it looked good. And Aaron Jones was out. I know Ty Chandler didn't do much, but he made plays when he needed to. Almost got killed himself, but yeah, it was a good W over there for Vikings, and really just shine an even brighter light on the dysfunction in East Rutherford.
Harrison, if you're okay with this, I'm just going to jump to my L, which was the Jets. And I'm going to start off with Aaron Rodgers crawling like he was trying to get revived in Fortnite, because that's exactly what he looked like. Aaron Rodgers looks washed. There's no way to kind of put it. I don't know how much ayahuasca that we need to see him consume to look like something of the past, but he doesn't look good. That defense that was considered to be a top defense doesn't necessarily look as good as it once did to me at this point in time. It's just something just feels really, really off. I don't know if it's Saleh. I don't know if it's just a team in general, but it's not what I thought this team could have been. I don't know if they're still reeling from last year. I don't mean to laugh at you, Sam. I just don't know what they're going to do here. It doesn't look good.
Yeah, I didn't go into this season I don't think they were going to be world beaters. I think they're like a 9-win team, maybe 10 if they can squeak that out, and that's looks like it could be enough for the AFC East. Like the Bills are 2 losses in a row. They're not in a great spot. Dolphins are not in a great spot. And the Patriots are obviously terrible. So
yeah,
I don't think they're going to be the cream of the crop in the league. I think they're definitely going through some struggles right now. But I still think they can, squeak out 8, 9, 10 wins and still be a contender for the division. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is old. He's definitely not what he used to be. I would like to see them try to lean more on their running game. I don't love like the play calling and how they're doing things right now, but there's time to get that all sorted out. So wouldn't sound the alarm on the Jets, but I think they are what they are, and I don't know. I think their ceiling is low, but that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, when Rodgers went out so early at the beginning of the season last year, it was the air out of the balloon, kind of just because, even if he came back for year 2 at that point, it's like, what are you going to get? Yeah. From everything I hear him say, he certainly realizes that he's 40 years old and he's not able to do what he used to do. But, and there were a lot of, on the broadcast elsewhere, you hear a lot of things like he doesn't like to use motion. He doesn't like to do this, that. And I remember the end of the Mike McCarthy era, and it was like everything is stale and, the play calling is predictable. And now we're in that same kind of boat now. So it's, I think you're stuck at this point. You need to tailor your offense to what he wants to do. There's nothing else we collectively can do. This is it. So we all have to kind of get on the same page here. I don't know what to think anymore, man. I think you're right, Harrison. Like, I don't think we would be going far to begin with, but we can make the playoffs if we just protect the football and show some kind of consistency on both sides of the ball, because to that point too, the defense is not nearly playing as well as it used to when it didn't have a Hall of Famer on the other end of the field there. So, Sauce has been exposed. I mean, you lost JJ early there, but like Michael Clemens had a big game, and Will McDonald looks great, but there's a lot of questions for this Jets team for another day.
That's definitely for sure. And I agree with you guys. When I said about what teams or what they thought the Jets would be, it was basically media, because they have painted them to be a Super Bowl contender, which I never go by what they said. If we listened to media, we would have also believed that the Falcons wouldn't have been anything, and here they are. Harrison, that's your pick.
Well, I mean, we kind of all picked the Falcons for the South, if I believe correctly, and they've kind of been that kind of AFC darling team for the last 2 years with analytics and Bijan and Kyle Pitts and all the wide receivers they have. But I just picked them for the fact we got one of the games of the early year so far in the Buccaneers Falcons game on Thursday night. It seems so long ago after the marathon day of football yesterday, but to be down to the Buccaneers, who were playing extremely well. I like the game the Buccaneers played, and for the Falcons to take a big divisional win, walk it off, and come away with in overtime with that. Young Hoku hits the kick. I won't say the joke. So he hits the kick to tie it, and then for them to win in overtime, and Kirk Cousins to throw for over 500 yards. I think I played against 2 people that had Kirk, but both on their bench. So maybe it's time to. He's had a rough start, but he's still Kirk Cousins, and he still knows how to deal it, and he still has a ton of weapons. So yeah, the AFC South is wide open still.
That's fair.
NFC South, my bad.
I'm sorry to the league that the Eagles allowed them to feel confidence and let Kirk Cousins feel like this. Kirk Cousins just puts up. It's crazy because in fantasy, Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott do the same thing. They always put up a ton of numbers. So for anybody that has them on their bench at any point in time, you're stupid. You should probably just keep them in because they're going to do what they got to do.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. But yeah, no, shout out to the Falcons. They've built a really good team. Sometimes, again, you can't listen to what the public says. Just build the way that you need to build. And I still think the Justin Simmons pickup was one of the most underrated pickups. The fact that he sat there for so long and then they were able to pair him with Bates is just wild to me. But whatever. Sam, or excuse me, Harrison, it's still you. You have the Niners.
Yeah, I didn't want to, go with Cardinals for my dub because I feel like that would be too obvious. But I haven't loved what I've seen from the 49ers yet this year. I mean, I feel like they're a bit discombobulated. There's a pretty big Super Bowl hangover. I feel like Brock Purdy has looked awesome. He has looked very good. And then they got a good game from Ayuk yesterday, finally. But other than that, I'm a little disappointed in what I'm seeing from them as far as play calling and situationally, and not what I expected from them. Well, it is what I expected from them this year, but coming off last year and the years prior, I thought they'd be a bit more cohesive, but they look a bit disjointed right now.
I would probably say a big part of that is we don't know what's going on with his ACLs, or excuse me, Achilles and CMC.
Absolutely.
Because I mean that's a huge miss in itself. The fact that they don't know when he's going to be back, they kind of downplayed it of what it was going to be with the Achilles. I think they said Achilles tendonitis, and then went and saw. Achilles, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, at first they just said it was Achilles tendonitis. Then he went to Germany, and then the report came out that the Niners were downplaying it, and it's both Achilles. So that doesn't sound good for a guy that has to run that way.
Madden curse.
It is. It's still looming around. It's still looming around.
Jordan Mason's been pretty good.
Yes,
especially for an undrafted running back. I mean, you expect that out of the that's the Shanahan legacy, right? Going back to his father, we talk a lot about that, like that zone running scheme. But yeah, this team's not in sync at all, and missing pieces aside, like it's a tough matchup this coming week in Seattle, so it's not going to get easier for him.
Yep, we already see how they fare against rivals, so it might be another game that gets tossed up and down, and I will sit here and love it. I don't love who they lost to, but I'll take it for this week. Sam, you have the Bills and Sean McDermott.
Yeah, what a game. I mean, you're down, you're tied with like 40 seconds left. You're on the 3-yard line or so, and you throw it 3 times. And I know Houston had all of their timeouts, and I know you don't want to get a safety, but you also, I get, it's always revisionist history. It's hindsight's 2020, all of that. Like, you play to win. I get it. You don't play for a tie, but in the sense of like, there's a lot that could go wrong at your own 3-yard line. And I mean, fortunately for them in that case, they didn't fumble or anything, but still they put time on the clock for a scrappy team that wanted a win, that needed a win. and got the win. And it's just, we talk about teams that have just like aren't consistent. I feel like that's a theme within this year, and it's been a theme with this Bills team for a while now. I know some things haven't gone their way in the playoffs of late. We could talk about calls and overtime rules and all this crap, but like it's just that was a rough way to lose on Sunday, especially having the performance collectively that the team had. I get Sean McDermott wanting to put your best chance to win is with Josh Allen having the ball. Totally get it. Totally understand. But in that case, you could, let's take a break and play overtime.
Yeah, I would, any Madden fan out there or people that play Madden are like, why, what is going on? Like, you just don't throw 3 times in a row in that situation. Like, you make them burn some timeouts. And I like Sean McDermott kind of taking the blame afterwards and saying, that's on me. So yeah, it's a tough way to lose. I thought maybe underreported thing. Josh Allen took a huge hit in that game, and how he didn't go into concussion protocol is crazy to me because he did not look the same for the rest of that game.
I think those boys in Houston were hitting a little bit different for a particular teammate. That just so might happen to be Cardi B's side piece, but that's a whole nother conversation. I don't know if you saw the post game handshake and the still that people have now taken of him staring at Josh Allen and looking at him like, yeah, we beat you.
Stats.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. See, this is what the Bills do, though. This is what the Bills have done since Josh Allen has been here. They start off, they look good. Josh Allen has phenomenal Josh Allen moments. He has not so phenomenal Josh Allen moments. The Bills look like they're a cohesive unit. Then they don't look like it. And that's how they always look at the beginning of the season. Once they move to the middle of the season and towards the end of the season is when they really hit their stride. And then next thing you know, they're in the playoffs again. And we're wondering if they're going to get to the Super Bowl. So I'm not really concerned with what is happening with them right now. I think also with the fact that they have young Shakur, who was hurt. They have Coleman, young guy. Then you have Mac Hollins out there. Like, it's a completely different receiving core. You've lost some key players on defense as well. Von Miller suspended for 4 games. You lost and don't have some key pieces that are on your team currently, and then that aren't on your team from last year. So they're still trying to figure this out with the new pieces. I think they'll be just fine. So I'm not going to fret over that whatsoever.
Yeah. This was more on the coaching decision than the Bills. I mean,
yeah. Agreed. I mean, it happens.
Any given Sunday.
Guess what? I'd much rather my coach get this out of the way earlier in the season than in the latter half of the season where it actually really, really matters. And it could be us getting in the playoffs or not, even though these games do matter. But it's a long season, so we'll see what happens. I don't give that same courtesy to Nick Sirianni, by the way. But anyway, Harrison, you have the Seahawks.
Yeah, I was just kind of disappointed in their game plan. So I feel like when we never quite gave Pete Carroll his flowers. Like, he was a coach for a long, long time, a very successful coach for the Seahawks and USC. And he kind of, he retired and obviously they have a new guy in there, but I feel like we took him for granted in a sense when it came to game planning an opponent. So I just really hated how they came out against the Giants. Like, obviously the Giants pass coverage isn't the best, and they leaned heavy on throwing, and it just wasn't quite work. They got down, but then they leaned heavy on throwing. They only ran the ball 9 times that game, and when you have someone like Walker in the backfield and Charbonnet, who are very solid running backs, I just don't love how they played against the Giants and what they did, and it seemed like a young coach panic move. So that's kind of why they get my L this week.
Yeah, I would give them an L anyway if you lose to the Giants. So
the Giants they're not bad.
We'll revisit this if they aren't. Sam, you have a team that is bad. That is the Browns.
Second week in a row. We're all on the Commanders bandwagon here, led by Harrison. When we make this rundown, I know like usually who we're each going to pick, and I was like, I'm gonna let X talk about X team here, but yeah, here a dreadful performance by the Browns here, facing the Commanders. This team is a shell of itself. Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year like a year ago, last season. And I know it was on the heels of, Joe Flacco, revitalizing that position and running and efficient and
he's still balling, by the way. Joe Flacco's still balling, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. And after the game, Stefanski said, "We're not changing quarterbacks." I get it because of the situation that they're in, and they doubled down in at the beginning of right before the season started, which we talked about. It's still mind blowing because they guaranteed even more money next year to free up money this year that they're not spending. So I don't quite understand. It's just karma. Everyone's married to this quarterback now, and it's just going to end how it's going to end. I mean, you could bench him, you could say he needs to get his mind right, whatever it is. Like, this team probably is better with Jameis Winston. Not that the quarterback is the only hole here, but they're just stuck. They're stuck, and they owe this guy Deshaun Watson a lot of money, and it's just it is what it is, and there's going to be a lot of people paying for that decision. And unfortunately, it's not going to be Watson because that money's guaranteed.
I really feel like Stefanski's hands are tied on this one.
Yeah,
I think it's coming from ownership because he can't possibly go in week after week and say this is the best option we have to win.
Of course,
he's won Coach of the Year last year. He knows what he's doing, and he's got to be racking his brain over how can I get ownership to be like, all right, this isn't the guy. We need to try to get some wins here because they're tied up with this money whether they like it or not. So you might as well try to put your whole team best foot forward.
Well, they can keep him in for another week because they play the Eagles this week, so they can just do that. And then after, they can take him out. But I don't like the fact that Stefanski is potentially going to lose his job because of the higher-ups. And if they put his job on the line because of Deshaun, I think that's absolutely asinine, and it's not fair to him. But I know it's just a business, and it is what it is. It wasn't his choice of dumping all that money in there. That was probably GM and owner, and let's go get this guy. And Deshaun has looked absolutely terrible. He's had in that game when I for clarity, people, I text Sam and Harrison, and I said, you know what? I feel like the Browns are going to lose this. This was in the first few minutes, or excuse me, win this. I thought the Browns were going to win this in the first few minutes against the Commanders. And then I continued to watch what Deshaun Watson did consecutively after that. He threw a behind his receiver, threw to the defender that tipped it up. It almost was a tip drill picks. Then he later on in the game argued with Stefanski. Stefanski wanted to go for it on a fourth down, and Deshaun walked off and gave up on it and said no, essentially. And then they talked calmly about it. You just get an L all around on that one. Browns, I don't know if you guys saw, but fans were wearing the brown paper bags again. So sorry, fans. I feel sorry for Bengals fans because it's got to hurt to see what people consider to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Has been playing like it.
Has one of the best receivers in the league. He's been playing like it. Arguably too. And yet they still are not winning games. I don't know how that makes any sense, especially in this last game where, I mean, they lost last seconds against the Chiefs, lost last seconds against the Ravens. Their record could obviously be different. Joe Burrow, after the game, said, we're clearly not a championship team currently. Thank you, Joe. We see that. We know. We appreciate it. I know that was you talking to your team and the public. We get it. Y'all need to talk in the public, private, underwater, in a hot air balloon, in space. Talk somewhere, figure it out, because there's no reason that this much talent should be putting out this results like this. And I know they've had it's a game of inches, but at what point, and Sam, you know I'm hard on these quarterbacks, especially when they give them this, put them on this pedestal, and I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna stop moving the goalposts for them and giving them an opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. When is Joe Burrow going to be the guy? Because it's always considered the quarterback's supposed to be the guy that will his team forward. When is that going to happen? When are we going to get them back to where they were?
I don't.
back to where they were.
Not on. And I know I'm the Joe Burrow.
I'm not saying it's on him.
I know.
I'm not
it's
saying
not
it's
on
on him.
This one's not on him. He threw 5 touchdowns and 400 yards. His defense couldn't stop. They were turnstile. It was a rough game. It was a rough game.
But see, you're just talking about this game, and I just said where their record is at.
I understand.
And do we not hold the quarterback as the guy that's supposed to will his team to where they're going?
They're on the front of the program. They sell the jerseys.
That's all I'm saying.
Of course.
That's all I'm saying.
Look, it's he was not healthy last year, and when he finally did get into that groove, he got that was that Thursday night game with it was his thumb or his whatever on his hand, and you can make the case. There were a lot of things on the internet in preseason, like he was still favoring it.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I think we can be tough on quarterbacks in this league, especially when they're making X percentage of the salary cap. The talent with Joe Burrow is there. The poise is there. We've seen what he's been able to do at, in the biggest stages. Well, he didn't win a Super Bowl, but in just that mentality from, that year LSU where he, had probably one of the most talented college football rosters ever, or at least offenses ever. And then go to, have a great few seasons, lead a team to a Super Bowl. It hasn't worked out. And it's probably, we have to stop with, the Bengals start slow. Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say this. Analysts, it's the NFL, babe. It's the NFL. It's like, it's going to pass you by. And unfortunately for Bengals fans, and I know a few, it is this is disappointing for sure.
I honestly don't know. Not one Bengal fan, by the way. I don't know any Bengal fan. I don't think about it.
I get what you're saying completely, Hayes. It's just
shout out to the Bengal fans.
And while it may be on Joe Burrow in the future, and it has been in some games in the past, these last 4 are just are not contextually. Yes, you should as a quarterback will your team to win, but the defense has completely let their offense down. In the context of judging his career, and I know we'll later do on, and I know narratives get driven and all that. And later on, no one will remember these specific 4 games, but specifically these 4 games, he has absolutely balled out, probably one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and his defense has absolutely let him down other than the Panthers game they won.
Oh yeah,
and the Pats game, the first game of the year, definitely on him. But for the most part, we all have a tough time dealing with context and the greater scheme of building a narrative. So I hope when his kind of the book is written on Joe Burrow, we take some of that into account.
I just like to hold everybody to the same standard, and I hate when people just continuously move the goalposts for certain quarterbacks and whatnot. Yeah. So I'm going to hold everybody to the same standard that they hold every other quarterback.
What's the standard? Because I want to just take a second.
What I just said about okay, well, your quarterback is supposed to lead. He's supposed to be a top 5 quarterback in the league. Considered to be the top 3 quarterback in the league is what he's considered to be. You're supposed to be the guy that's supposed to will your team to that point. Because what do they compare? Who do they compare it to? They compare it to the Aaron Rodgers when Aaron Rodgers was elite at that point in time. They compare it to Tom Brady when Tom Brady was elite at that point in time. Peyton Manning when he was elite at that point. That's the gold standard. So you're compared to that no matter what. It's not fair. It's not necessarily fair, but guess what? Life is not fair. But that's who they're compared to. And these guys found a way to win even when their team is not doing that. So that's what the standard is. And when these guys start off slow, they make a new narrative. Well, it's this, is that. Okay, let's keep it the same the whole time, and let's just move from there. I understand we're a prisoner of the moment and so on and so forth and all the other factors that go into it. But I'm just going to be the person that's going to continue to hold the standard that if you're going to keep it that way, you're going to call it that way for one, keep it that way for everybody. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
And to make another point here, and I was thinking about this recently, and I looked at I went through and I did this off the top of my head, and I think it's right. The last 10 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, 6 out of the last 10 years, it's Pat Mahomes or Tom Brady. Stafford won, Nick Foles won, Peyton Manning won in 2016. The last 10 Super Bowl runner-ups, I'm looking at this. Mahomes is in there once, Tom Brady's in there once, and everyone has been in there once. So what is I don't know what the barometer is, because clearly, I mean, we've lived through, and especially Harrison and I lived through because he's a Jets fan, lived through the Jets, the Patriot dynasty here. So we have 6 Super Bowls out of the last 10 years by 2 guys. If I went deeper, it would be a bunch of Peyton Manning at least being there and more Tom Brady. But last 10 Super Bowl runner-up quarterbacks, no one is in here more than Tom Brady or Pat Mahomes.
I think Pat Mahomes,
the glass half full perspective is Joe Burrow has the privilege of being in these conversations and being scrutinized. So I think that says enough for me to where, he's got the game to be mentioned amongst these guys. I would just like to see it, and I hope I see it. I like Joe Burrow a lot. I think he's a tremendous quarterback. So maybe it doesn't shake out that way if the defense keeps looking like this, because it's going to be pretty hard to win games if you got to put up 45 points a game.
Agreed.
For any quarterback.
Agreed. And that's why I also am so hard on Josh Allen too. But we'll say that for another topic.
They're all in that conversation, and they are deserving of being in that conversation. So definitely, when we talk and critique these quarterbacks, I think it's important for people to keep in mind we're critiquing them because we think they're very good and they deserve critique.
I think it's also very hard for quarterbacks to, consecutively over the past 15, 20 years, you've had one quarterback that essentially reigned supreme over the league. And you had Tom Brady, and you thought there was going to be a dump off after that. Nope, you get Patrick Mahomes. So you have a standard that you have to, it's like, well, that guy can continue to do that. You're like, well, that guy is that guy. Anyway.
Yeah, it's Bulls to the Laker dynasty, and then it's just like Spurs. It's just like there's no giving up. There's no giving in to it.
There's none.
It's like just because LeBron James is great doesn't mean Carmelo Anthony isn't.
Agreed. We know this. We're all agreeing on the same thing. We know this, but we're just painting a picture for everybody else.
Imploring people to have context in the conversations.
Absolutely. Power rankings. I'm just going to go through this very, very quick. At 5, the Texans. At 4, the Commanders. At 3, the Ravens. At 2, the Chiefs because they haven't played. And at 1, the Vikings because they haven't lost. So they keep them right there where they're at. That is my power rankings for the weeks. Any quick thoughts on that, gentlemen?
I was thinking a lot about the comment of it's probably too early in the season to do this, because I know the Texans have been in this list at some point. The Ravens have, and then weren't. And so, that's fine. Checks out.
It's early. We'll see what happens.
Go with it.
Harrison, your power list rankings this week.
Cracking in at 28, the Rams. Not good. 29, the Patriots. Probably thought they should have. I guess we thought they were going to go with Drake May. They continued to go with Jacoby Brissett, who can't throw it more than 10 yards down the field. So that's interesting. And just a point on that, like, we can blame the offensive line as much as we want, but if Jacoby Brissett can't throw more than 10 yards, literally the whole defense is going to be in the backfield. So, let's put 2 and 2 together here and figure something out. But okay, 30, the Browns, pitiful. 31, the Jaguars. They got to win, but they're still sitting in here. And then 32, the residential Panthers spot, minus 82 score differential. So that's tough. Honorable mentions, we got Titans, Dolphins, and Colts.
Shout out to Bryce Young for coming into the game late and throwing the dime, because that team just sucks. Anyway, records for week 4. I took home the championship for this week.
Congratulations.
Not congratulations, because I'm still behind.
You made a good call. You made a good call with the Jags.
Thank you.
I questioned that one up, and
sometimes you just got to go with when things just seem like it's just.
They had to get a win somewhere, right? They couldn't go win this.
Somewhere. It's got to be one. I went 7-5. Sam went 5-7. Harrison, you went 6-6. And Instagram was also 7-5. Totals, I'm 38-36. Sam, you are 43-41. Harrison, 42-32. And Instagram is still kicking our ass, 46-28. Great. Love it. Week 6 picks. All right. So teams on a bye, we have the Chiefs, Vikings, Rams, and Dolphins. Thursday night game is the Niners at Seahawks. You both have the Seahawks, and I have the Niners. Very interesting.
Niners on a short week. Not looking
in
good.
Seattle. I don't know what to think anymore.
I think Bosa is going to touch Gino a little too much. Sunday, London, Jags at Bears. We all went Bears, even though it's essentially a Jags home game.
I really want to pick the Jags.
So then do it. Go for it.
Shout out Caleb Williams.
I knew you were going to try to get that in there somehow, some way.
Offense looked good.
No, they did look good. They look good finally. DeAndre Swift finally looked like he know how to run the ball again through that shaky hole.
Last 2 weeks,
yeah. Commanders at Ravens. Sam and I both have the Ravens. Harrison has the Commanders. You are drinking the Kool-Aid super hard, and I love it. Cardinals at Packers. Of course, Harrison picks the Cardinals because when is he not? Sam and I both have the Packers. Texans at Patriots. This is very easy. Texans. Bucks at Saints. I think we all picked the Bucks, but I think this game is going to be way closer than we think it's going to be.
Yep, totally.
So that I honestly feel that's going to come down to a field goal, but whatever. Browns against Eagles, or we all have Eagles. If the Eagles lose, I swear to whatever God you pray to, Nick Sirianni needs to be fired immediately after that. Colts at Titans. I have the Titans. Sam has Flacco. And Harrison has Titans.
Is Joe Flacco going to start? Because I'll pick the Colts. If he's not, I'm not picking the Colts.
I have no idea.
I'm an Anthony Richardson fan.
Isn't it amazing that it's 2024 and we're still saying if Joe Flacco plays, I'm picking them?
Balls.
He's
he
good.
Balls.
Yeah. He's still got it.
He gets an opportunity.
I wish he played like this for the Jets or the Broncos.
Well, I'm saying, it just depends on the scheme. Chargers at Broncos. Sam and I both have the Chargers. Harrison has the Broncos. Steelers
quietly one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
I think
not quietly, but I
think Broncos have the number one defense in the league. I think right now.
I think I read
that. I think they have the number one defense right now.
Best corner in the league. Bo Nix. Bo Nix looked really good.
Steelers at Raiders. We all have the Steelers because they need to bounce back after that damn game against the Cowboys. Falcons at Panthers. This is easy, everybody. We all picked the Panthers. I'm lying. It's the Falcons. Lions at Cowboys. We all picked the Lions. Sunday Night Football. Bengals at Giants. This is also another easy one. Bengals.
I'm actually a little nervous about this.
Okay, Harrison is changing to. I'm changing.
I'm not changing. I'm just.
Sam, I bet you Harrison is going to change it before the game. I guarantee you. I'm calling it right now.
I'm not changing. You have till Thursday, or
you do. Yep.
I'm not. I won't change that one.
Okay. Mark my words, people. He's going to change it. Bengals. We all have Bengals. Monday Night Football is Bills at Jets. The Jets fans did not pick the Jets. They picked the Bills. So there we are. Before Harrison's got to leave, so I have a question. It's a conversation that started up with a friend of mine, and it was based off of the history that was made last evening. For some of you that are hearing this 2 days ago, but Bronny and Bron shared the court, made NBA history for the first Sun duo to be on the court, share the court in the same team. Super cool moment. Great. The conversation that arose from this was some people feel that Bronny is only here because of LeBron James. Now, I will concede that yes.
That is a fact, by the way.
Yes. I mean, yes. Because
yes. Congrats on the sex.
Yes. Exactly. Yes, that is his son. He helped create him. So yes, he is here on this earth because of LeBron. So that's number one. You are right, people. Number two, he is also here because he taught his son how to play basketball, and he's one of the best basketball players to ever touch a basketball. So yeah, that's, again, you guys got that too. But here's where I start to differ is Bronny was a prospect, a highly sought after prospect based on the fact of his father and hoping that it's going to happen. Same thing happened with Marcus Jordan. Clearly, we saw how that turned out, right? And many other players' sons that have been in the league or trying to get up there. Bronny started off as a lower prospect, worked his way up to being a higher one, went to USC, almost died on the basketball court, and then ended up drafted 55 out of 58 in the NBA draft. Did it help to have a father that is an all-time great? Yes, absolutely.
Just a little bit.
Yes, but was LeBron playing Bronny's games for him to get up to the point to get to college at USC? No. Was he playing his games for him when he was in USC, the limited games that he did play because of the heart attack? No. But of course, LeBron has pulled. Of course, the Lakers want to continue to have LeBron stay for the Lakers. It shows other players that, hey, these guys will bend over backwards to make sure they do anything for their players and take care of them. But also, why would you not want a potential prospect that could be something really good for you? And you can have him develop with your organization. He's going to be around and still play against pro players and learn the pro way. I just don't like the fact that people are bashing this as if this doesn't happen all over the world. Sam and I were talking about this off air before Harrison joined in. And if I'm not a parent, Sam and Harrison both are, and I'm sure you both will agree with what I'm going to say next. If I have a child and I have an opportunity to put my child and get them in a position to succeed for the rest of their life, and knowing that I'm not going to be there for the rest of my life, I'm 100% going to do that because I don't live my life for you. I live my life for my child and want them to actually do what they have to do. So I don't understand why people are grunting and groaning about this when they're watching somebody do something that you should be doing as a parent, trying to put your child in a better position. I don't understand why it's such a big deal. Are you crying because it is a guy that is making billions of dollars and shooting a basketball? Are you crying because of the obvious, because he's a black man doing this? What are you crying about? I need to understand that. So, gentlemen, I taken up too much time. I want to hear what you guys think about this.
Well, I can't explain the other side of it and why people are crying. I mean, I'm on the same side as you. I mean, is there some nepotism involved? Yeah, definitely, a tiny bit.
Mm-hmm.
Is Bronny deserving of being in the NBA? I don't know. We'll find out.
Correct.
But
yes,
I think when it comes down to it, I think he's a solid prospect. I thought he's a solid prospect all along. Has he put up the numbers that people want him to or expect him to? No, he hasn't. But he's definitely a solid prospect. And if he wasn't drafted in the second round, he would have been signed anyway. Second rounders are traditionally cut and never heard from again.
Exactly.
So all of this hubbub about why they draft him, second rounders rarely pan out. There's a few in NBA history that do. So let the man live. He'll maybe start a few games up with the Lakers. He'll head to the G League. He'll get some valuable experience and build his game. But his game is solid. He's a very good defender. He has NBA size. People want to say he's short and whatnot. He's not. He's not very. He's got NBA guard size, typical to a lot of other NBA point guards and maybe some smaller shooting guards in the league. So shot is good. So I'm just looking at kind of his intangibles on the court. Knowing that, there was some nepotism involved in him getting there, but I think he'll be a solid pro. And that's just my take on it.
Sam, if I jump real quick, because I want to highlight that point, because I did highlight it off air, is the fact that second rounders, we talked about it. There's European players like this. For those that don't understand how the league works, is once you get into that second round, a lot of those players, as Harrison mentioned, go immediately to the G League. Some of them are European players that never even come over to the NBA. They just stash and just stay there forever. Some eventually come over. It all depends. It's just how the NBA is. Which is why the G League is so developmental now compared to what it used to be. It's basically the minor leagues of basketball, which is why it's such a great place to be and allow these guys. There's a lot of guys that have come into the NBA that you may know or may not realize that they came from the G League and came up, and they're now key pieces to their team. So you need development. Everybody needs development. You're not just everybody doesn't shoot out the gate and be a LeBron James or Michael Jordan. Sometimes you need time to learn and grow into being a solid player and need that experience to get to where you need to get to. Sam.
I mean, nepotism exists everywhere. Corporate America, I mean, we see it every day. And in the media, in the sports media, can have Joe Buck, Jack Collinsworth, just guys jump off my head. Not that they're not deserving of it. Joe Buck gets a lot of crap. I don't mind Joe Buck. I think I'm good. I'm good.
He's gotten so much better.
It's fine.
Yes.
It's fine. Did X player person get a start because of who they're related to or what situation they're in? Sure, but Bronny's not going to last in the NBA if he can't play in the NBA.
Yeah. Correct.
And let's not romanticize second round picks here. Who was the first pick in the NBA draft this year?
Some guy from France.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we have romanticized, the draft is about numbers, intangible, sure, stats, but there's a lot of fourth-year seniors that have won championships that go in the second round, and can play a decent game, but they're not Marvin Williams, who's like a second or third overall pick out of North Carolina, didn't even start, and was like second or third overall, right? Like that didn't work. I mean, he had a decent career. He built it. He turned into having a decent.
He was a journeyman.
Backup career.
He was a journeyman. Is what he was.
But certainly, if you look at that draft, like who, what, that was what. But remember the hype 20 years ago about the guy. Like let's not romanticize fifth round picks. Like the last two off seasons or trade deadlines, like guys are trading like teams are trading 5 second round picks for like PJ Tucker. Let's not do it. I think where people get upset with the whole Bronny thing, aside from that LeBron has a bullseye on him, whether he says something about something or not, it's just where we are in the engagement world.
I want to touch on that.
It's the hype around him. It's the coverage around Bronny. It's the clickbait stuff. It's like, let's post something, a highlight about Bronny, so we can get engagement, and then you can get the people in mom's basement like tweeting and posting about it. That's what it is.
To touch on that. Yeah.
The thing about like the rumors about like whoever drafts Bronny, LeBron's gonna go, or don't, Rich Paul's like, don't draft Bronny. Like that, there's some weight to that. That probably happened.
Of course.
But again, it's the
but wait, hold on.
The 55th pick. Not everyone's Jokic here.
But let me interject about that. Did people make such a big deal when the Manning family did that for Eli Manning? Did they put it on this wide scale about it? Yes, it was talked about, but are they running it like they're running this? And did they talk about nepotism there? I didn't hear that.
I think like what Sam touched on, like a lot of this is so social media driven, but
of course.
on how we view these narratives, and like spoiler alert to all the people in the comment section saying, why are you posting this? Because you're clicking it and reading it.
Correct.
That's what engagement is. Like, that's how it works.
Yep.
So I laugh every time. It's like the Caitlin Clark stuff. Why do you keep posting Caitlin? Because you're clicking it and you're scrolling over it. Like, it's not rocket science, y'all. Like
Cowboys. Cowboys are talked about every single place because you all eat it up every time.
LeBron, Zion, Aaron Rodgers. Just looking at it in like, it's just it. And in 2004, if the situation existed during the NFL draft, I'm sure we were in a 24-hour news cycle because social media is at the palm, in the palm of our hands, and it makes things amplified. It makes you feel like this is a bigger story. Mm-hmm. Like in the media, like when I was in like broadcasting and programming and stuff, we called the vocal minority. Like, not that it's not important. There is, I get both sides of this comment. If you start thinking like the fans, you're going to be sitting with them. I get it. I understand all of it. But like, it's, it doesn't necessarily reflect how everyone feels about a certain situation. I think people are just tired of hearing about a second round pick who's related to arguably the best athlete of all time. Just from
it is what it is.
I would just like people to just step back for a moment and like look at the situation as a whole. Like, this is objectively cool.
Yes,
like, LeBron James, the greatest basketball player of all time, is now playing with his son. The same way it was really cool when Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. were playing.
Exactly.
Like, this is just really cool. It's like, why can't we just?
I think
appreciate it. Like,
one of the parts to your point, one of the parts that people aren't talking about is this all depended on LeBron James. This could have not happened if LeBron wasn't healthy throughout his career. This man invested millions back into his body to make sure he took care of himself to be able to play. This would have never happened if he was injured. We've seen many star players go out super early because they've had massive injuries and so on and so forth. Like, he took care of himself. He's allowed to do this. Like, why is this not fun? This should be fun. It is fun. I would love to see this. I'd love to see him Bronny throw an alley to his father and be like, yo, that shit was cool as hell. Like, I don't understand why this is such a big deal, but it is what it is. Harrison, you have to get out of here.
I do. Shout out Vandy. Shout out Liberty.
Yes.
And go Yankees.
My guy. Thank you, Harrison. We'll see you next week, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sam, so let's get into the Yankees, or let's get into the playoffs. We have the NLDS. The Phillies Mets are tied up at this point. That game was absolutely electric.
Insane, man.
That first off, I will take the time as a Yankee fan to give love to the Mets fans and just the Mets in general. The Mets are probably the most exciting team to watch right now. And it's because they're putting up a lot of runs, or they get to the bullpen, the other team's bullpen, and then they just start lighting the other team's bullpen up. They've been destroying teams' bullpens throughout the playoffs thus far. But the Mets showed up. Obviously, the Phillies showed up this last game. Bryce Harper, I tweeted it yesterday. Bryce Harper is everything that the hype said he would be and more. And the perfect place that he's in is Philly. They love him. They absolutely love him. I'm still pissed off because he could have been playing first base for the Yankees.
It breaks my heart.
It breaks my heart too. But
there's not a guy that is like that has just completely embodied a place like
absolutely.
He has with Philly. And I'm not even near Philly. I have friends that are Philly fans, but like it's just the vibes from the last few postseasons, and just they had to move him to first base because he will just literally run through a wall.
Correct.
Like, it is, and he's still he's entertainment, and that offense is really good. Zach Wheeler is great. That rotation's great. But yeah, like a lot of these teams in this postseason right now, bullpen is everything, and managers get nuts with the bullpen and will pull guys early. And yeah, it's the Mets have made it interesting over the last couple months of just having these these moments, and they're in one right now for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to that series. I think that's going to continue to be a really, really fun series. Dodgers, Padres. Sam put up a post when he asked us in a group chat who we chose. We chose the Dodgers, all three of us, but I made it very, very clear, Sam, that I was teetering for the Padres because they're hot, and the Padres have shown that. This last game got super chippy. Manny Machado's out here chirping against Flaherty, which I absolutely love. Muncy came out and said that we played like shit, which they did. But I wasn't mad. Like, normally I don't like what Manny Machado says, Sam. I'm just gonna be Manny Machado. He's for the birds for me. But what he did say, I did respect. He said, "We don't throw at your best player to try to get them out. We actually try to get them out. So stop throwing at our best player in Fernando Tatis and hitting him, and try to get him out instead." So I respected that. I don't think that necessarily was the case. But I mean, teach his own.
They got to
have history.
Amp their guys up. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And they have to rally their guys up there too. Mm-hmm. And Tatis is not one to, shy away from what he is feeling or do.
Well, you saw what he did in the outfield.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's playing to the crowd. Profar, what he did after catching, robbing that home run and hiding the ball from Mookie Betts, and then turning around and playing to the crowd, and then the crowd threw stuff at him. Which, hey guys, I understand that they're being playful and they're irking you or whatever, but you guys are also doing the same thing to them. It's a playful atmosphere. Stop throwing stuff at players. Like, there's no room to be throwing stuff at players that potentially get them injured, hurt, or whatever the case may be. Stop throwing stuff at players. Like, it doesn't need to happen, period. If you are that type of person, don't go to the game, period. But whatever. ALDS, currently we got the Guardians, Tigers playing right now. It is 0-0 at this point in time. But in the score, that is, we're watching. But the Guardians are up 1-0 right now in the series. And then we also have the Yankees tonight, who are up 1-0. I'm telling you, I was so stressed watching that game against the Royals. I do believe that the Yankees got away with a call because my boy Jazz was absolutely out at second. There's no doubt in my mind that he was out at second. But sometimes it's just the way things go. Unlike what Pedro Martinez says, that the refs get all the calls in New York, and it's the Yankees, and the Yankees have to win. We get it, Pedro. You still hate the Yankees. Got it. Great. But here's what our picks were. We all chose the Yankees, Guardians, and Dodgers. Sam and myself, we chose the Phillies, and Harrison chose the Mets. So, how are you feeling about our picks thus far?
I had the same in that conversation you were referencing before we posted our picks. I had the same concerns with the Dodgers Padres series, especially when it comes down to pitching. I know Padres have lost some pitching there too, but they're to be down Glass now. Yamamoto had a rough outing, and just the starting rotation for the Dodgers has not been great in the bullpen. Yeah, and the bullpen's been really shaky there too. And no Clayton Kershaw. Not that he was, a given in the, he's certainly not vintage Kershaw, and even vintage Kershaw in the playoffs has an asterisk next to it. It's just at this point. But so I kind of toss up. I'm not being a Mets hater. I really don't. I've never really had any animosity towards the Mets ever. I just thought the Phillies are a better team, but can't deny what the Mets are doing right now. And as just a New Yorker, I think it'd be fun to see them like continue going. I have no hate here. I think those are two series where I definitely don't feel good about. As a Yankee fan, I'm always nervous. 5 lead changes in that game on Saturday night, and I think that was tied or was the most ever in a playoff game or something along those lines. So yeah, I think the bullpens for all of these teams are question marks here. It was nice to see Clay Holmes come up in a big spot.
Yeah.
Glaber, have big moment. Verdugo.
You're welcome,
well.
Glaber.
So it's a new day, right? It's October baseball is something different. Yeah. So as a Yankee fan, I still think we'll I hope that we'll take care of business here, but of course I'm nervous there.
Yeah. I mean, tonight we'll say we have Rodon going today. So I'm excited to see what goes on there. Birdie playing first. Just very, very curious. I mean, I'm going to be stressed very, very soon. So gonna work so we can get out of here for that one. For women's basketball, which we don't talk about much on here, but we always talk about the Liberty when they are doing their thing, and we will always sprinkle that in when we get the chance. And our Liberty won. They beat the Aces, the team they could not beat last year, which they beat them 3-1 in the series. Sabrina has absolutely been going off. Absolutely love that that's happened. But it's not just Sabrina. It's Stewie. It's I forgot the tall white girl that they just brought. No, I'm gonna have to look it up. But she's honestly the missing piece to that team. Nope. Nope. She's a power forward center. She's the missing piece to this team this year. She adds extra boards. I was able to go from there. I'll look it up as we're doing. But they are awaiting the winner of the Lynx and the Suns. And I feel like, Sam, there's going to be a parade in New York very, very soon. That's what I'm feeling like.
6th time in the finals, have never taken care of business there. And, hopefully we're, hopefully that changes here. Ended the Aces bid for a three-peat. That kind of feels nice. Had their number all year after, them owning us for a long time. And look, they're playing great, and the vibe in Brooklyn is awesome. And to see this team level up in big moments, and Sabrina, Sabrina just kind of putting her stamp on it, and the whole Queen of New York thing is pretty cool. I'm into it. I'm excited for game 1 Thursday in Brooklyn. Regardless, the Sun and the Lynx, as you mentioned, play tomorrow night. Game 5 decider there. So
I can't wait for it. The young lady's name is Leonie Fibich, and then the center is Jacquel Jones, who's an absolute powerhouse too, which is a part of the big three, which is Sabrina, Brianna, and Jacquel. So shout out to them. Love this. Let's go Liberty. I still need my T-shirt. Still need to get that. To close this out, Sam, we have an upset that we didn't think was going to happen. I'm sure most people didn't think it was going to happen. It's a do you care type situation, but this weekend of upsets, 6 top 15 teams lost on Saturday, but one in particular stood out. Vanderbilt beat Alabama 40-35. Alabama was ranked number 2. Vanderbilt was not ranked at all. Sam, I think you said they were like 0-40 against the top.
I think it was like 0-60 or something like that
60.
against a top
even worse.
5 ranked, a top 5 ranked school. Vandy.
That is absolutely wild that Bama has these lapses, and they've had it over the years with Nick Saban and now currently without, that they just lose focus on the goal. And luckily, this is the playoffs this year, so this one loss is not going to be extremely detrimental, but it's going to absolutely push them further back. I thank them for that because it moved Penn State to 4. But I still cannot believe that they lost this game. Sam.
It's wild.
I can't fathom it.
I was in Nashville Labor Day weekend when Vanderbilt hosted Virginia Tech, and I stayed at a hotel near Vanderbilt Stadium, and it was just swarmed with Virginia Tech fans. And maybe that's just and down Broadway all night, all weekend was Virginia Tech fans, and not to think anything, too much of this Vanderbilt team, and can name like 2-3 players off the top of my mind that ever played there and whatever, but it was like, wow. And then to take the whole goalpost thing and then throw it in the river, like that's a far walk, man.
They were walking it all the way down. That was
down to
wild.
Broadway and stuff. Like that's a long walk, man.
I can only imagine.
It's a cool moment for them, and then on top of what like Nick Saban said earlier that last week, where it's like the least intimidating place to play in the SEC is Vanderbilt, and these guys rose up to it. And was it a trap game for Bama? Were they not thinking much of it, especially after a big win the week before? Probably.
Clearly, yep.
But we'll see how this impacts. Especially the newer playoff setup. There's more teams here, but this is as big of a win as last week was. This is not a loss you want on your ledger here. So
I don't know, but hold that L. Hold that L, Bama. Have fun with that. Sam, another great episode. Close us out, good sir.
Hey, man. 146 in the books. Thank you so much for listening. For Harrison and Brandon, I'm Sam. Thank you. Check us out on Instagram. Tell your friends. And till next time, peace.
The Cardinals suck. Let's go Yankees. Bye.
Go Birds.